Well, you knew it was gonna happen sooner or later. Gamers, welcome to the second episode of Is It Still Worth It? If you recall, last time I talked about Super Mario Odyssey, and today I'll be talking about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're gonna see if this great game is still worth it, so let's get into it. To start off, let's talk numbers. This was the last first-party game released on the Wii U, and on that same day, it was also one of the launch titles for the Nintendo Switch on March 3rd, 2017. And as of December 31st, 2020, this game has sold over 21 million units, and is fourth among the best-selling Switch games of all time. This is the best-selling game in the Legend of Zelda series, with Twilight Princess coming in at next at only 8.69 million units. And in 2019 alone, this game sold over 13 million units. That's pretty crazy, not to say the least. Now, this game was announced on January 23rd, 2013, which means this game was in development for roughly 5 years. And this is finally around the 20th game in the series, not including remakes, I'm pretty sure. Now let's compare this game to some of the other big Zelda games of the past. First off, Skyward Sword. This game had a lot of motion controls because it was one of the first releases on, well, not one of the first releases on the Wii, but it was released on the Wii, and the Wii was big on motion controls. And this game had sort of an art style that, with the franchise, that would boil over into other games in the series. And also, this game sold about 3.67 million units. Now, the other hit Zelda game on the Wii was Twilight Princess. And this game was also released in the realm of motion controls as well. This was one of the more darker games of this series, where Link could transform into different things in the Twilight. And is, as I said, the second best selling Zelda game at 8.69 million units sold. Next is the Wind Waker. This game came out on the GameCube, and it's different from other games because you explore a flooded Hyrule on a ship. The art style is also cute, I guess, or kiddish, because, well, I really don't know, but I like it. But I do know that this game sold 4.43 million units. Finally, the 3D Zelda game that started it all, Ocarina of Time. This, for many people, is the GOAT of the Zelda series, and I can totally see why. This game started a whole new generation of Zelda, and that's why we have Breath of the Wild today. Nonetheless, to say, these games were and still are amazing, but how do they hold up against Breath of the Wild? Well, let's find out. Now, this series has come a long way since the graphics of Ocarina of Time. But Breath of the Wild is by far the best looking game in this series. And, well, you can just see why. Look at the game. It's beautiful. Now, this game runs at 720p on dock and 900p in dock mode. It runs at about 60 frames per second. So yes, this game is beautiful, and I'll say for me, it is the best looking one in the series. But hey, to each their own. To each their own. The controls for this game are amazing, but nothing is out of place because everything that you need is right there. For example, if you need to switch weapons on the fly, or if you need to switch what type of arrow you need in the middle when you're shooting one, you can. The only problem with the controls that I say is probably the motion control part, because I've literally had it sometimes where I've had my Joy-Cons like flipped upside down while using the motion controls in some shines. But other than that, these controls are perfect. Now this game takes place in an open world map, which means you can basically go anywhere. Like, if you want to go fight Ganon right away, you can. You have the freedom to do whatever you want. You can explore every edge of the map, find every shrine, every Koroks, complete every side quest, and the game will let you. Or you can only do one thing and none of those, or you can just do whatever. But be mindful. After you beat this game, there's no going back. So you must be satisfied with what you've done in-game before you go beat it. Now, the fastest time a human has beat the game is 25 minutes and 33 seconds. To complete the game fully, it could or it can take upwards of 200 hours. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say that you could beat this game in about 50 to 60 hours. That's if you decide to complete all the divine beasts and get a lot of the shrines. The story to this game is really interesting because it takes place from over 100 years ago, when the Great Calamity happened and our hero Link fell into a deep sleep, I guess you can call it, trying to save Hyrule from Calamity Ganon from overtaking the land. And Zelda tells Gamerz to bring him to the Shrine of Resurrection, and he would lay there for 100 years until he wakes up and has a complete loss of memory, but still has to save Hyrule. Ironic, right? And he has to go get the Master Sword back. He has to go get the shield back. He has to go get everything back because he doesn't have anything. So that's the joy of having an open world, because you can go find all this stuff. And since that he's lost everything, Zelda is using her powers to try to stop Calamity Ganon from overtaking the land. And this story is so deep because with every memory that you restore, it's like a whole another story is happening inside the story that's already happening. Now this story continues, or starts I should say, in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, where you fight the battles of what happened 100 years ago in Hyrule. And this story is only to continue in the sequel to Breath of the Wild. So, this game, as I said, is an open world game, which means you have a lot of different items to get and explore for. For example, there are a ton of different weapons that you can use, same with the shields and bows. And there are numerous different outfits for Link to wear on his journey to save Hyrule. Now, I mentioned there are shrines, and these shrines have a number of puzzles in them that you need to solve to complete the shrine. And these puzzles usually revolve around the 4 powers that Link receives at the start of the game from the Sheikah Slate. There is Magnesis, which allows him to move certain metal objects, and a remote bomb, stasis, which gives them the ability to freeze something in time for a little bit, and cryonis, where he can make ice platforms from water or mud or any sort of water element. And these come especially handy for the divine beasts. Now the divine beasts are bosses that will help you defeat the final boss. So if you defeat Waterblight Ganon, that's one less Ganon you have to worry about, and it also take some of Ganon's health away at the final fight. Now, you better get used to these powers that you use, because you're going to use them throughout the game, so better get used to them. Now, the music in this game is really like any other Zelda game, where the music ramps up in a fight, and if you're just walking through the fields of Hyrule, it's going to be nice and calm. So it really kind of depends what you consider to be good music and how you think good music would work in certain situations. For me personally, I could listen to these soundtracks and music all day long. Now, this game has not got any major updates or anything since it came out. Really, the only thing we have received are some little DLC packs, and they really don't add much. They add some more armor and little stuff into the game, but it's not much. But hey. Now, if I had to criticize this game about anything, it would probably be that there is no multiplayer. I would love to play as Zelda herself, and I know a bunch of other people would. And well, we can't do that here, because there really isn't any multiplayer of any kind. Because I think multiplayer would be nice in this game. And I know that most Zelda games are only one player, but I know, like I said, a lot of people would love to have multiplayer and play as Zelda. Also, it would be nice to dip down on the number of Korok seeds in the game. Just for reference, these give you more item slots for bows, shields, and all that. And I think 900 of these around all of Hyrule's a little too much, but yeah. And well, there it is. This game is a true masterpiece, none the least to say. It is made very different from other Zelda games in the past, and I think that's a good thing because it makes the game different, unique, and fun all at the same time. And I know for myself and a bunch of other people, this is their favorite Zelda game. Now, the big question that we have all been waiting for is, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild still worth it? And I think you know the answer. Yes it is. So go answer the call and defend the legend.